Hey guys, this is Rani and I want to talk to you today about finding motivation when you need it the most. I'm sure some of you can relate to this. You have a moment of absolute clarity where you suddenly realize, okay, I need to do this particular action. We do it all the time around New Year's Eve when we make a New Year's resolution. So in this moment of clarity, we really tap into what's important to us and we align with our souls and we make a decision based on what is really most important to us. An example might be you decide, okay, I'm leaving that guy. It might be, okay, I need to quit my job. It might be, I need to exercise every day. And in that moment, you have absolute certainty and clarity that you want to make a change in your life. So this is the moment of clarity. This is soul-aligned awareness where you really know what it is that you want to do, right? So you've made this decision. And then what happens when it comes to execute? Right? What happens? Doubt creeps in, maybe laziness creeps in, fears creep in. There's always 100 different reasons why you shouldn't stick with that original decision that you made in that moment of clarity. So when you get the opportunity to execute and you allow yourself to listen to these doubts, to listen to the fears, and for that to stop you, that is your mistake. Just listening to the fears, allowing that to be an option, that is why people can't follow through with the soul-aligned changes that they want to make in their life. Like, let me give you an example. I spoke to somebody a couple of weeks ago and she was wanting to quit her job. And in fact, she'd been telling me for months that she'd wanted to quit her job. That was her soul-aligned decision that she has known for a very long time. But yet the doubts crept in. She felt like she had to play into this role of being the good girl, being the helpful one, being the person who's going to help the bosses to find someone else. She didn't want to leave them in the lurch without somebody to replace her. So every day she was living in this fear and doubt and insecurity that she didn't have the power to stand by her own boundaries, to follow through on what she knew was her soul-aligned action. So the fact that you even allow your mind to take a different path, different from the one that you had decided in that soul-aligned moment, that is the mistake. Don't even listen to it. Don't even question it. Once you've made your decision to take a certain soul-aligned action, follow through with that. Whether you feel like it, whether you feel lazy, whether you feel sick, whether you're doubting yourself, whether you're in a state of fear, whether you're now thinking about all of these logical reasons why your soul-aligned action won't work, you still should follow through with it because that is what's in your heart and that is what you said you wanted to do. Hi, Donna. So thanks for joining me, everyone who's watching. I really hope that you're getting something from this. So when you know you have a soul-aligned action that you need to take, don't even listen to any of the bullshit that you tell yourself after that. Always follow through, whether you feel like it or not. There's always 100 reasons as to why we shouldn't follow through. There's more than 100. There's thousands of excuses that you can make. There's all the doubts, the fears, the reasons why that won't work. However, that is just tapping into your fear. That's acting on your fear rather than on your soul-aligned action. So stick with that original clarity. And once you just have that practice in place, it's like a policy. This is what I do in my own life. It's a policy. So once I've decided something, I'm following through no matter whether I feel like it, whether I think I'm good enough, whether I think I've got what it takes to make that happen. I just fucking do it. Nike it. Just do what you said that you wanted to do and do not allow these fears to creep in. Make it a habit. Make it your policy. Make it non-negotiable for you to change your mind once you've had a moment of soul-aligned clarity. I'm not talking about when you've decided something that doesn't really sit with you. I'm talking about the bigger things that really resonate, that are important to your soul, that are intrinsic to who you are and to the growth that you want to have. So make it a habit. Don't even indulge those doubts. Just stick with what you said in that moment of soul-aligned clarity and don't even listen to that voice. Just stand by your soul-aligned decision that you made in that moment. Have the doubts, sure, but do not act on them. That is the key. So, and if you've been doing that and it doesn't work, then there's obviously a blockage there that's getting in the way. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So first, I'm going to explain how the mind works. So we've got the conscious mind, which is only 10% of our brain. It's our thinking mind, it's our rational mind. And then we've got the other part, which is the subconscious. And that is the bulk of it. This is where our patterns, our beliefs, the great beliefs we have about ourselves, but also the self-limiting beliefs are also stored in the subconscious. So if our conscious mind makes a decision such as I want to get fit and healthy and lose weight, if there's a blockage or a disconnect between what the conscious mind wants and what the beliefs are within the subconscious mind, if that's not aligned, you'll never get the results that you want. So this is a perfect example. I had a client at the Bali Spirit Festival, and when he was a small baby, he had to spend about a month in isolation due to some health issues and just the current medical practices that they had at the time. He was basically on his own for the first month of his life, and he really came to me wanting to lose weight. And he realized during our session together where we did regression to go back to find what is the original cause for that. And it turned out it was that period. He didn't mention it in the talk about the what had happened to him as a small baby, but we regressed to that scene. And so that's where the core of this food issue came about. He basically, as a small child, was in a survival situation where he thought he was going to die, and he needed to load calories. Anytime calories were on offer, he had to have them because it was a matter of survival, or so he thought as that tiny little infant who was left on his own. So when I asked him to go back to whichever moment in his life was the core and the foundation of this food obsession that he has, where he has to stuff his face with snacks 24/7, really he's binge eating as often as he can, that's where it came from. So that is a classic example of where your conscious mind wants something, but there's a limiting belief in your subconscious mind that's stopping you from having that. So if you have tried the method that I just shared with you and it's not working for you, then that is a sign that there is a limiting belief in place that needs to be removed. And so we can do that by working together in hypnosis, because the subconscious is really the birthplace of all of our most fantastic beliefs, but also the self-limiting ones as well. So if you're not able to break through any of these patterns, if you're not able to really stick with your soul-aligned clarity and choices that you want to make in your life, then there's a reason for that, and we've got to take a quick look at what happened, and from there we can move on. We can leave that in the past, we can break that barrier. So with that guy, I said to him, you are not in a survival situation anymore. And if I say that to his conscious mind, he's still going to be snacking. But in the hypnotic state, I'm saying that to his subconscious mind, and that is where the beliefs are formed. So when you're dealing with the subconscious mind, you can really make huge differences to the way that we process and relate in our daily lives. So he feels so much relief off his shoulders after our session, because he's not constantly looking for food, because we were able to break that pattern that he developed as a tiny baby. So it's kind of bizarre to think that our lives can be shaped by something that happened when we were small, but that is literally how it works. It's called emotional imprinting, and we decide who we are, we decide our beliefs, all because of what happened to us when we were a child. So if you're in a survival situation as a child, and if you think that you could literally starve, then you get a belief in your head that anytime I see anything with a calorie in it, I need to consume it. So he's been living his whole 40 years with that mindset. So we were able to break through that. But that's only, doing that deeper work is only really necessary if you're trying to make new roads in your life, but you're not able to make a change. So hypnosis is perfect for if you haven't been able to break a pattern and you keep repeating the same problems over and over again, but you're not actually able to break through that. That's when we need to do the deeper work. But if it's just something more simple, then try the technique that I mentioned at the start of the video. And if you are watching and joining late, let me recap that for you. So When you have a moment of clarity in your life, like when you're like, oh my God, okay, I'm leaving this job, or I need to change and make a new path for myself, or I'm quitting my job, or I'm losing weight, whatever it is that's really aligned to your soul, and when you know that that is the choice that you need to make, this is what I call a moment of clarity. This is where you're tapping into what is most important to you, and this is the only thing we need to listen to. Later, as time goes on, the next day, the next week, where you actually need the motivation to do what it is you said that you wanted to do, whether it's give up smoking weed, or drink less alcohol, or exercise every day, or do that thing that you've been putting off, we can come up with 1,001 excuses as to why we shouldn't do that. My technique is this: never, ever, ever listen to those voices of doubt, of fear, of laziness, of whatever it is. Just know that they're going to come. Those things are going to come to you. You're going to not want to follow through. You're going to want to just make an excuse, but never listen to that. Be aware that that is just how it unfolds, and stick with the original moment of clarity, that decision that you made. Make it non-negotiable for you to even hear those voices that come to you that tell you, no, forget about it, or don't worry, or I'll exercise tomorrow, or I'll just have another whatever. Just stick with the original moment of clarity. Follow what your soul wants, not what your fears want. We've got to give voice to what's important, and not to the bullshit fears that creep in, that kind of try and keep us stuck in our old ways and old patterns. Do not indulge those fears. Just stick with what is aligned with your soul. Even though you're not going to want to feel like it, just fucking do it. So I'm going to leave you with that. Please feel free to share this video with anyone who you think might benefit from it. And I'd love to see your comments. So thanks so much. Like and share. Bye guys.